We're all set if we're all set to go on YouTube.
As long as you can't see me. I'm actually, guys, at the church. I was putting together Christmas giveaway bag.
We're live on TV.
Oh.
All right.
Oh,
I think you're hiding, Rochelle.
I am hiding. Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
All right. Are we all set on the link?
Whew.
Is it Austin with us tonight?
I'm out of breath.
No, it's Patrick.
Hi, Patrick.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Hi.
Are we all set?
Yep, we're live right now.
Okay. I called to order the December 3rd, 2020 Board of Commissioners regular session. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner Kathy Sue Petty,
Here.
Commissioner Rochelle Hatcher,
Present.
Commissioner Jake Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Steve Frisbee,
Present.
Commissioner Derek King,
Present.
Commissioner Tommy Miller,
He's
You're
here.
muted.
Hey, Tommy, you're muted.
Present.
Commissioner Gary Tompkins.
Present.
We have quorum.
Thank you. After a moment of silence, we'll have Commissioner Hatcher lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ready?
Yes.
Let me get a chair here. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberties and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a motion to approve the December 3rd, 2020 Board of Commissioners regular session as presented.
Still
So
moved, Miller.
moved. Support
Miller and-
Hatcher.
Miller and Hatcher, is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Petty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins.
Yes.
We have 7 yes.
Motion carries. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Commissioners November 19th, 2020 regular session as presented?
So moved, Tompkins.
Support Betty.
Hatcher.
Tompkins and Betty. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Petty.
Yes.
We have 7 yes.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is citizens' time. During citizens' time, the board chair shall recognize any person wishing to address the board. A person recognized by the chair shall call in and state his or her name and community of residence. A person may address the board only once on the same matter during each period set aside for citizens' time on the agenda, and only on matters that are relevant to county government. The chair shall control the length of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes, and shall not allow any negative personal comments. Please mute your TV or computer when calling in, as the background sound will generate feedback. Please note there's approximately a 30-second delay between the live meeting feed and the YouTube. Are there any citizens who would like to address their commissioners? Are there any citizens that would like to address their commissioners? Would anyone like to address their commissioners? All right, we'll move on. I don't see anybody in the queue, right, Patrick?
Yeah, no one's in the queue.
All right. Elected and appointed county officials' comments. Community development. I'm not sure which one. Jen or Pat or
It's Helen Guzzo. Sorry,
oh, sorry.
wasn't able to change my name.
No problem. Hi, Helen.
I just wanted to say thank you to commissioners, especially Commissioner Jake Smith, Gary Tompkins, and Derek King for your leadership contributions to United Way. The county held its annual United Way Workplace Campaign November 5th through the 20th. We had 71 generous donors who donated $16,036. Of those through payroll deduction. The United Way managed the online giving campaign. It was a touchless campaign. We awarded 11 gift cards that were donated by department heads and our 3 parking spots at our 3 buildings. The parking spots in a COVID year where we're all working at home are not as valuable, but they have been awarded for 1 year. So I just want to thank the county employees and the commission for your support of the United Way campaign. And then the senior millage was asked by MSU Extension and the fairgrounds to sponsor some Merry Mile coupons. And we've sent out almost 400 coupons for the Merry Mile, which is at the Calhoun County Fairgrounds. Thursday through Sunday from December 3rd until December 27th. It's open on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve this year. And they're hoping to make up some operating dollars that were lost during the fair that they couldn't have in August. So it's $10 for a car ride. It's a socially distanced, safe thing that seniors can do. All of our special events have been canceled, so we were happy to sponsor that. So our office is mailing out coupons. If you have seniors in your life who are Calhoun County residents, 60 years and over, and they want to attend the Merry Mile at the Marshall County Fairgrounds, please have them contact me at our office. And then I just wanted to recognize the 17 years of partnership that Senior Health Partners has done. They have 3 contracts with Senior Millage. They run our Fun and Fitness program, which is our wellness initiative, encouraging exercise among seniors. It's been on hiatus for a little bit here, but it's been very successful. 500 seniors in 2019 participated in the 13 sites. And then they have a community care options, which is a little bit of home care and a nurse assessment for seniors who are starting to experience frailty. For 17 years, it's been a partnership between Summit Point, Bronson, the Y Center. We joined in 2012 with budget cuts and with the retirement of Linda Gropp. I guess it's been, I misspoke a little bit. It's been 17 years that Linda Gropp has led it, but it's been around for 20 years. It's going to become a wholly owned subsidiary of Senior Care Partners PACE. And just the dissolution documents are on the consent agenda, and just want to recognize the retirement of Linda Grapp and the good work that Senior Care Partners, Senior Health Partners have done. And we expect that level of collaboration and community leadership to continue being a fully owned subsidiary of Senior Care Partners PACE. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll move along. There is no special order of business tonight, but we do have a very large consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved, Betty.
Support Hatcher.
Betty and Hatcher, any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Petty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher.
Yes.
We have 7 yes.
Motion carries. Any special committee, workshop, or board reports? I have one from Parks and Rec today. We met. There's some really good news. The $190,000 DNR Trust Fund grant submitted for Kimball Pines Park was awarded to Calhoun County. So look forward to that. And in addition, Homer submitted a $101,000 grant to the DNR to finish off their trail system, and they were awarded that as well. So almost $300,000 coming to Calhoun County from the DNR Trust Fund, which will help in our Parks and Rec area. The Albion Trailhead will be moving forward. We expect demo on those properties that are in the way to finish that project to start going ahead pretty soon. So that'll be nice to have that project finished. Anybody else? All right, we have no unfinished business, so I'll turn it over to Administrator Controller Kelly Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll start with, I guess, 2 updates from boards and committees. The Native American Heritage Fund Board met on November 20 to finish out their delayed round of grant allocations for this year. Native American Heritage Fund gets $500,000 every year from the MEDC that comes out of the profits from the electronic gaming at the Firekeepers Casino. It comes out of the state's portion of the revenue sharing, not the local portion. And the board provides grants to local governments, including school districts and colleges and universities, to education and better relationship with our federally recognized Native American tribes. So this year they awarded 6 grants, totaling about $482,000. 3 of them were school districts, 2 of them close by here, Clinton Community Schools and in Paw Public Schools both chose to change their mascot and unacceptable Native American imagery. So happy that we were able to finish that. Again, the grant application process was delayed due to COVID, but we got it done. We got those checks out in November, and we'll make a big impact. The board is also working on getting greater recognition on a national level, because we often get inquiries from people from other states saying, hey, is there anything like this in my state? And right now, Michigan is the only state that has a fund like this. And so we're trying to expand this to a national level so that they can award similar funding to organizations outside of Michigan. And then the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance, or MADA board, met on December 1st. In our final meeting of the year, we mainly heard updates from our CEO, Jim Durian, Marshall is, of course, through MEDA, trying to continue to figure out how to support our economic development initiatives, our chamber members, the local businesses, restaurants. They're still working on expanding the social district within Marshall, within the current restrictions and guidelines for restaurants. And then MEDA is also considering being a significant sponsor of the fairgrounds and their Merry Mile effort, which Helen Guzzo mentioned. And Commissioner Frisbee reported on the Parks and Rec Commission. So that's it on boards and committees. I also just give you a quick update on county operations and COVID response. Our HR Director, Kim Archambault, reports that as of today, we've had 43 employees test positive with COVID and 150 that have needed to use our health emergency leave policy to be off because of some sort of COVID exposure that require them to be off and be quarantined. We are continuing to operate essentially as we have been since the beginning of July, which is the Justice Center is locked to and not open to the public to walk in. Their services, the court services, are available by appointment only. The courts are still following the Supreme Court administrative orders guide to return to full capacity. And essentially most courts in Michigan are now back to really their phase 1 due to the high surge in cases. Really no change though. The courts are fully operational other than jury trials have been canceled through the beginning of January. Our other buildings are open to the public. Right now, the road department is, their front doors are locked to the public just due to limited staffing because of COVID exposures. And the rest of the offices within the county building, a lot of them still require appointments, and we're definitely encouraging services via telephone and online, but you can walk into the county building as its doors are open. So that I expect to continue indefinitely. We are, of course, watching the state's press releases regarding the DHHS order restricting restaurants, gatherings, and the mask requirement that is set to expire on next Tuesday, December 8th. We are requiring all of our employees to work remotely that can work remotely and working on better supporting those efforts. So not just giving them technology and computers and phones, but trying to make sure that they understand how to best manage that situation, as it is different than, you know, showing up in the office and doing their regular job. So that's kind of where we are at. We also are planning to, for the week between Christmas and New Year's, so December 26, 27, 28, actually 28, 29, 30, the week before, or the week between Christmas and New Year, lock the county building because a lot of those offices are trying to encourage employees to take some time off, to take their paid time off. A lot of our employees have not had breaks at all. And so this is just a good time to have limited staffing. And again, we will be available to provide all needed services by phone and by email. And that concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have about our COVID response or operations or anything else.
Kelly,
Yes.
if I could, yes, thank you. Thank you. I was just wondering with the buildings or the areas of the county that are open, are those any areas that are kind of have been heavily affected by employees or so? That you said about 150 of our employees have had to use that, or, you know, are they coming to work or no? Do you know what I'm saying? I might probably sound confusing. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not a problem. We're the buildings that are open, more so or less.
Right. I think what you're asking is, are we seeing COVID spread within our buildings? And for the most part, no, with a couple of exceptions. What we're seeing is, you know, what's been reported by the public health department. There's just really widespread community spread, mainly from, you know, gatherings at people's homes, within settings. And so our employees are getting exposed and then having to be excluded from the workplace. We've only had a few occasions where it was work related. And when they are, We are reporting those to our workers' comp carrier, but for the most part, their, family or others have been exposed, and the 150 that have had to use the leave, that includes people that are just in close contact with another family member that has tested positive, and just, with an employer the size of ours with, 700 people, it's pretty much in line with what you'll hear reported from other employers like the City of Battle Creek, just, large organizations. It's really just in line with the statistics that are reality right now.
Okay. And that was correct. That it was a hard way to say that.
Any other questions?
Okay, so with that, we'll move on to new business tonight. The first item is 12B1. And this is a follow-up to what was already approved regarding the CDBG CARES Act grant funding. And we brought this to you previously as required to have a public hearing. The grant funding comes from an allocation to Calhoun County of about $440,000. That is federal HUD dollars that are normally allocated to communities based on needs regarding poverty, housing, other statistics. And so this was an amount that was given to us and is restricted specifically for COVID-19 response efforts. And the county is allowed to spend or reimburse ourselves and or pass through the money to community efforts for vulnerable populations for the time period starting way back on January 21st, all the way through the end of December of this year. So even though we already got your approval to accept this grant according to our grant policy, because we're proposing that about a third of the funding go toward the acquisition and equipping of the new Battle Creek homeless shelter, there is a piece required when we spend the funds on acquiring real property that requires your specific approval. And that is what we've attached called the Statement of Just Compensation. So basically the HUD rules required the county to engage a qualified real estate appraiser to establish the value of the property and ensure that federal funds are not being used to basically overspend based on the market value. And that all worked out. The market value of that property was far more than what was negotiated by the new nonprofit Battle Creek Homeless Shelter, Inc. And the county is proposing, again, just to put forth a portion of our funding toward the acquisition of the building. And also we purchased the portable shower units that are critical temporarily to keep the place up and running. And then the remainder of the funding will be used to reimburse the county for internal costs that we've already incurred, mainly in public health and public safety for our COVID costs throughout the year. So we're specifically asking you, I guess, again, to take the final step just to approve the grant agreement and affirm that you've reviewed the Statement of Just Compensation, and we've attached the real estate appraisal to complement that.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the grant agreement and Statement of Just Compensation, CARES CDBG grant funding, COVID-19 response as presented?
So moved, Miller.
Betty.
Miller and Vetty, any discussion?
Yes, please.
Commissioner King.
Thank you. So obviously a huge need for support of our homeless here in Calhoun County and specifically Battle Creek. I'm curious. So I know it's the building and such is being purchased under this nonprofit. Let's just say it's disbanded someday or whatever the word is.
Mhm.
Because of the money that the county's putting in, would we have rights to that building? I mean, it does adjoin us. It makes complete sense for that to be maybe if this didn't work out, a future maintenance garage or something like that. So how would that work?
The grant requirements do allow for us to contribute just like a grant. And so we're not actually acquiring a piece of ownership of the building. We're essentially contributing to the nonprofit. So there are not really any strings attached that would say if something happens, and it goes away, that we would have to pay the funds back that I know of. It's hopefully that's not going to happen. They're scheduled to close, I think, on the 11th of December, and the remainder of the funding has been secured already, from my understanding. It's really the last piece to fill the financial gap.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about, what would happen if the thing failed or it just, I want to somehow, it seems like we should protect what we're putting into it. It's not like we're going to have control, right?
That's correct. We are not gaining control. The temporary shower trailer units will become property of the county as soon as they're done temporarily, and they can install permanent shower and bath facilities in the building. That's a different thing. But the contribution toward the acquisition cost is really that. It's a donation, it's a contribution that this funding source, unlike any of the other COVID funding that we've received, emphasizes that it should be used for things like to address homelessness.
Okay, so this, I absolutely, I just, hear me out here. We couldn't use this for supporting drug court or veterans court or treatment programs or other things that are hemorrhaging, without funding. This is a specific need for that. So it's the stars aligned that where we could use these CARES Act dollars to support this new venture.
That is accurate. This has one of the most limited scope of eligibility, and Megan Banning and I have had, I don't know, at least half a dozen Zoom meetings with our rep from the MEDC who's doing the grant, and there are a lot of hoops to jump through, a lot of strings attached to this funding, and it absolutely could not be used for to pay for any of the costs that we've incurred for the county that were not directly related to COVID response, that were not budgeted. This was a very specific restricted source of funding. And if we don't spend it by the end of December, it could be returned. So it's one that communities across the state, some of them I think did not accept the funding and are returning some of it. And I just think that it's great that there's a community initiative in our area that meets the need. And before this new homeless shelter, the Haven had an emergency overnight sheltering space for about 15 people kind of stacked up on mattresses in a small space. So this greatly increases the capacity. And again, it really exactly matches the purpose of, CDBG and HUD funding in general is targeted for housing issues.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. This is not to be selfish, but my point was if we had county initiatives that we could use it on, but we saw the need. We saw what happened with a lot of those folks during COVID. We saw what they had to do with full blast. We see the homeless encampments and stuff where they, it's sad. And we also know that circles back to mental health a lot of times and, drug usage. So that's why I was just wanting to hear it from you. Thank you.
Great questions. All right. So Madam Clerk, please take anybody else with questions. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
We have 7 yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Item 12B2 is the adoption of the fiscal year 2021 and appropriations resolution. The budget book is, has been presented and attached with the agenda packet. There are no changes to the budgets that were presented November 17 with the public hearing. And so I'll focus on the items that have been added that you didn't see back in November. And that is the appropriations resolution, which is included, and that sets forth the Board of Commissioners' powers and limits on departmental decisions related to staffing that have budget impacts, internal transfers, other, I guess, budget controls throughout the year. It also sets forth the salaries for, as required by state law, for the elected officials, for the Board of Commissioners, and for all of our county and court non-union employees that are not covered by collective bargaining agreements. We are recommending a 2% increase for all of those groups, and that would be roughly in line with inflation for this year. It would be a little bit less than some of the union contracts that we already have negotiated for next year, but mainly just because of budget constraints. We can really not recommend a match of up to 2.5% or more that we have with some of the union groups. And then it also incorporates the millage rates that the county intends to levy. Of course, the new parks millage is added in, and there are no other changes in the millage rate, so we're not recommending any tax increases for our taxpayers. The budget book also includes your adoption of the fee schedule at the department level. So all of the fees that we have discretionary control over and the state doesn't dictate. And because we had started, we had engaged MGT consulting firm to do a fee study early this year. That has been really slowed down and delayed due to just COVID restrictions and is not complete yet. And so I think partly as a result of that being pending, we're not recommending any changes to the department level fees, user fees as part of the budget. And I'll just reiterate, what we presented back to you in November, which is this was the most challenging budget year just because the economy is so unpredictable in how we're going to recover from the COVID pandemic. There are also issues that have to do with the federal and state government and their support of renting our jail beds they're so unknown and remain unpredictable, yet a pretty big part of our budget. And as a result of mainly on the revenue side, we had to require departments to agree to keeping about 25 fewer staff positions as part of next year's budget than what they had this year. This is the first time we've really seen that impact the sheriff's office with 8 fewer positions than what they have this year. The courts have continued to make reductions in staffing over the years, and yet they're proposing, I think it's 7 fewer positions next year. It kind of goes across the county departments and administration. So that coupled with just our ongoing strategies with employee benefits and being able to really control those costs were instrumental in providing us with a balanced budget. I'm not as confident about next year's budget as I have been in the past, but it is doable given the commitment of all of our elected officials, our judges, our department heads to work together and just to continue to monitor the budget ongoing. The road department is seeing luckily an increase in their state funding that was promised by the state to appropriate general fund towards road funding, and their scheduled increase in the MTF funding. But again, with other reductions in local funding, the road department is also proposing to have, I think it's 6.5 fewer staff on hand next year, but still be able to finish out the Emmett Township Road project, to do the required maintenance, winter maintenance, pothole patching. Really what happens with the road department is we try to do some longer term fixes on the primary roads and our partnership with the townships, and those funding sources are sort of discretionary depending on availability. So again, the road department's going to have to continue to monitor revenues as they come in and hope that we have a winter that doesn't require more snow clearing than what we've budgeted. But all in all, we've got balanced budgets as required by law. Definitely appreciate the leadership of Megan Banning, our deputy controller, who led us through the whole process this year virtually. Our Board of Commissioners Budget Committee that met by Zoom and had budget hearings all day long with our elected officials by Zoom. And again, I really am thankful for the level of trust and commitment to all work together to just acknowledge that it's going to be a tough year and we don't have a crystal ball yet beyond next year. And hopefully when we see the recovery from COVID and what that does to our economy and hope that our property taxes are stable, that'll give us a better roadmap to revise our long-term forecast, which we really rely on to make longer-term decisions. Just a final note that we're just wrapping up negotiations with 2 of our union groups that have contracts expiring in December, and we hope to bring those contracts to you at the next meeting.
Awesome. Can I have a motion to approve the Calhoun County fiscal year 2021 budget and appropriations resolution as presented?
Tompkins.
Support Betty.
Tompkins and Betty. Any discussion?
I got a question. The 6.5 workers from the road department what workers are those?
They are currently vacant, so it's not requiring layoffs, but we had some retirements this year. And so I don't remember if one of them is a mechanic, but they're mainly road workers. And the thought is we will still have enough workers to cover all the snowplow routes and mainly just rely on a little bit more of our seasonal workers if necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee.
Yes.
You have 7 yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next 2 items come from the Equalization Department, and these are year-end renewals for 2021 for our Equalization Director and also our appraisal services. So I know our Deputy Equalization Director, Tom Scott, is here tonight, along with Matt Hansen, who we have contracted with from Kalamazoo County for several years now to oversee the equalization services with his credentials at the top level. We used to call level 4 MMAO, according to the State Tax Commission's requirements. So happy to have them here tonight. And our Corporation Counsel, Jim Dyer, prepared the contract. This is item 12B3, a renewal of the contract with Matt Hansen. He's an independent contractor. The terms of the contract are the same. He is not requiring an increase. It's $25,000 annual rate. And he really makes sure that the county's equalization services are in compliance with the law. He, I know, helps Tom Scott a lot with just being a sounding board and reviewing things so that we feel confident that we are properly providing all of the equalization services. It's well worth it. We have been unable for many, many years to find a full-time equalization director who's qualified, and Tom is working on that. I don't want to say due to COVID, but it's mainly due to the State Tax Commission changing the rules to make the process more difficult and longer. And then there were some COVID delays. And I know Tom is working toward that, getting that highest level of credentials. In the meantime, with having him oversee the department and then this contract to fulfill our required credentials, it's still saving the county and our taxpayers money from as opposed to having both full-time positions.
Can I have a motion to approve the 2021 contract with Matt Hansen to act as the Equalization Director as submitted?
So
So moved.
moved, Hatcher.
Hatcher and Miller. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes, please. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King.
Yes, thank
That's
you.
7 yes.
I just want to thank
Motion
Matt
carries.
Hansen for agreeing to continue to help us out and oversee our equalization department. We really appreciate that. The next item, 12B4, is a contract that we've had now for several years with different firms. The one that we're contracting with for the current year and we would like to renew with actually an expanded scope is called CSZ Service. And CSZ stands for Charles Zemla. He's from St. Joseph, Michigan. And so we've had a vacancy in our appraising position in equalization for many, many years. And we had been contracting some of our required appraisals. The staffing situation in equalization is that we're expecting both of our appraisers. We only have 2 on staff now, we used to have 3. Both of them are planning to retire in the middle of next year. And so Tom Scott is proposing that we increase the contract with CSZ to do all of the appraisals, so that they're proposing the rate per parcel to be the same, but the number of parcels greatly increases, and that we would basically contract out all of those services for next fiscal year. The total is about $99,000, not to exceed, and that is included in next year's budget. And again, on the long term, we have had difficulty finding credentialed individuals to fill our positions in equalization, and we're not alone. This is happening across the state. There are a lot of independent contracting firms like CSC providing this service, and it does, I think, provide us quality work overseen by Tom Scott and overseen by Matt Hansen in a way that actually saves the taxpayers dollars compared to what our budget was with full staffing.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the 2021 extension of the CSZ assessing contract as submitted?
So moved, Hatcher.
Support Tompkins.
Hatcher and Tompkins. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes,
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
Last item under new business tonight is item 12B5. One of our benefit renewals, and you'll see more of those at the next meeting on December 17. This one relates to our workers' comp coverage, and specifically for the excess coverage renewal. And we have been, utilizing benefits consultants over the years. We always do competitive bidding for all of our benefits. What is happening with workers' comp is that the market is sort of unstable, and so our incumbent is offering to lock in, if we choose a 2-year contract, which we're recommending, to lock in the rates at an increase that's lower than what the industry is trending. So we're sort of hedging against even larger increase. Right now we have a $600,000 specific retention. So that's kind of like our self-insured retention that we have with MMRMA for property and liability insurance. And then above that, the excess coverage would take effect. The annual cost currently is $45,000. The new rate for the renewal is being proposed at $66,000. But again, what we're being told by our consultants is that if we just did a 1 year or tried to get a different carrier, the increase could be even more than that. So we're self-insured, we pay actual claims, and then this protects us against larger excess coverage claims. And I'll acknowledge Kim Archambault, our HR director, for overseeing all of our benefits coordination, and it's really a big job. And because of a lot of the efforts she has done, that has really led to us controlling our benefits costs, but yet still being able to offer our employees high quality benefits. That's one of the big keys that I mentioned for being able to balance our budget. In this case, it's an increase, but I still think it's the best option that we have to do a renewal with 2 years. And Kim is here to answer any questions.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the workers' compensation excess contract renewal as submitted?
So moved, Miller.
Support Vetty.
Miller and Betty, any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins, was yes.
Motion
Seven.
carries. Citizens time. Our next item is citizens time. The same rules apply as during the first citizens time. Please limit your time to 3 minutes and no negative personal comments. Please mute your TV or computer when calling in, as the background sound will generate feedback. Please note there's approximately a 30-second delay between the live meeting and the YouTube feed. Anyone who would like to address our commissioners? Is there anyone that would like to address their commissioners? Is there anyone that would like to address their commissioners? We have someone
Mhm.
in the attendees. Pixel 3 XL had their hand up. Do you want to speak?
Yes.
Go ahead.
My name's Joel Fulton. I live at 28 Bidwell Street, Battle Creek, Michigan. And I'd like to address the commissioners and acknowledge that while we are struggling with a pandemic and nationwide as related to COVID-19, I believe that we've done a fairly decent job here in Calhoun County. And I would like to address the commissioners and let them know that one specific industry in our state and specifically in our county is suffering beyond all others due to what we believe are unfair restrictions when we were implementing safety practices, and that is the restaurant and bar industry. We have done our level best, and we are hurting. Our employees are hurting, and it is getting to the point where we as businesses will not survive if we are not provided with some sort of relief from the onerous restrictions that we're currently facing. We can do so safely, we can operate safely, and I think we've clearly demonstrated that we can do that, especially in this county.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joe.
Is there anyone else who would like to address our commissioners?
I could say something about that.
Why don't we hold it for commissioners'
Okay.
time, which is
Yep.
next? Okay. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on. Commissioners' time. Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, I just want to say, I really feel for all these restaurant workers, especially in the holiday season. There's a lot of waitresses out there that are going to be really struggling to pay their bills as it is. And how are they going to pay their bills with no relief? Can't work, go to work. I really feel for them. I think our state's really putting hurting on a lot of people. The other thing I have is, that's it, I guess.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'd like to add to that we represent small business owners just as we do others in this community. And those small business owners, such as restaurant and bar owners, are just as important as any other business owners. Yet they've been singled out by Governor Whitmer and MDHHS as a cause for shutdown, a cause for concern and the shutdown, leaving those business owners, their employers, their suppliers, their lenders, and even in some cases, citizens, senior citizens in some counties receive vouchers to eat at restaurants who can't afford food for their meals. So holding them with nothing but hope that might be allowed soon to reopen. I believe this is simply wrong. I agree with Joel. In the April letter that was signed by 5 of us here, we asked them to create guidelines and let them open. Owners will, in most cases, follow those guidelines and operate safely and not impact or undermine our health officers' efforts to deter the virus. We constantly hear science says, please show us the science. I support restaurateurs, bar owners, and seeking to open their businesses. Many have invested thousands in safety measures over the past few months, and they should be allowed to return to work as soon as possible. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, Chair, I would also like to definitely acknowledge Joe's comments, and that understanding that even as not as a business owner of a restaurant, but just as a citizen of Battle Creek that definitely does enjoy being out and about and, out and enjoying our restaurants that we have. I'm just not for sure. I guess I would say I'm understanding of it. I think I was just explaining to you guys that I was running a little late because I was coming in I'm working with 3 community churches right now, just trying to put together food baskets and thinking of children and Christmas and the whole bit. And I just cannot, I guess what I'm trying to say is just within my heart, I'm just making a comment or a statement within my heart. If I thought that I could come up with any kind of way or do anything from this position that I have right now to assist that, I really would. I just don't know what to do. I'm just not for sure how there's a equal medium for everyone to be happy and be safe and loved ones. And I guess I'm glad that I don't have to make any decisions like that.
Yeah.
So
I think
yeah.
both are both the safety and deterring of the virus and the operation of, they're not mutually exclusive. I think they can happen together if done safely. So that's what I encourage.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, we'll move on to claims payable. Can I have a motion to approve Calhoun County claims payable for November 13th, 2020 through November 24th, 2020, the amount of $3,091,084.81 as presented?
So move, Miller.
Support Betty.
Miller and Smith. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty.
Yes.
We have 7 yes.
Motion carries. Any announcements?
I got something.
Go ahead.
I just want to report that we had Marshall had the parade. They teamed up with Fairgrounds of the Merry Mile on Monday night. They were expecting 800 vehicles. There was over 1,490 vehicles. I myself, we got tired of waiting. We waited in line for over 2 hours. They barely made it past the fountain at 9 p.m. So it turned out really good. A couple complaints I see on social media about the lines, but how are you going to stop that? But it was a really good success. So it was turned out pretty good.
I saw a report from the fair office that it was almost 1,500 cars.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's quite the turnout. That's awesome. And
But
you know, the
there's a
Marshall
lot-
Parade always had a great turnout anyway. So it looks like a lot of them sought to do it this way.
But there's a lot of displays still going on up there. They're open, like Helen said earlier, till the 27th. So I know the FFA and there's quite a few other floats up there that's going to be on display until then. So
Awesome. Anybody else? I do have one. I'll begin with a couple of you. There are some small townships that we've contacted to Parks and Rec to try to determine what they want to do with their allotment for the millage. If they have plans or they need help planning. We haven't heard back from a few of them. So some of them have new leadership, of course. So they're wading through a lot of stuff, but we may ask you to help stimulate some of that conversation. So look forward to that.
Chair Frisbee, if I may.
Yes. Yes.
Are any of those townships in my district at all? Anything that can you state or anything I can do to help?
I don't have the list yet, but I know Lee was
Okay.
on it. Lee
Okay,
Township
Lee was on
one
it?
of them. Yep.
Okay.
So it
Thank
is
you.
one of yours, even Bedford in mind. So they have all new
Okay.
leadership at Bedford.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
you know, except
Okay.
for one person. So
Yep. Thank you.
as soon as I get the list, I'll let you know.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. If not, this meeting's adjourned.